Hello, wonderful juniors, aspiring theologians, and desirers of good grades. This is the review for the first module quiz in my class. It will be 22 questions, and you will get 25 points. So I'm getting 3 to say that I love you. It is entirely objective. It is all Scantron, so you're not filling in anything. It is true and false. It is multiple response. It is multiple choice, and it is matching. So just everything that's going to be on the quiz will be covered here in this brief review, which I will not simply give you the questions and the answers, but I will tell you exactly what you should or need to know. There is hardly any notes that have accumulated up to this point, so I am hoping that you all do very well so that we have a really great start to the year. Okay, so let's start this. First of all, you need to know what the definition of liturgy is. Remember, you don't have to write it out. You have to recognize it. Could be true and false, could be matching, who knows. Also, there were various elements of the modern culture that I spoke about. Simply kind of know what effects fall underneath those. I don't think this is strictly memorizing. Some of it's quite obvious. If you saw them, they would look out of place. Okay, so just kind of get familiar visually with what goes where. Specifically, what falls under pluralism. Okay, and also the priest during Mass offers a sacrifice. I was very specific as to whose and what sacrifice he offers, especially whose. I also talked about God needing our glory. Strictly speaking, does God need man's glory? I also gave you a very, very brief definition of what it means to sanctify or sanctification. Know that. And I was very clear as to whether or not all liturgies are a Mass or whether all Masses are a liturgy. Make sure you know which one is the broader category there. Now, you should know what Scientism was. It was spoken about as one of the effects under the element of materialism, so know that. And also, in that same vein, I talked about a group that always considers themselves, not always, but they typically would consider themselves neutral, primarily because they're not Christian, they're not Muslim, they're not Jewish, so they feel if they're beyond all that, that they themselves are neutral. Know which group we're talking about there. Also, man gives God glory primarily as an expression of what? If you want a hint, it's what we've been doing in our journals at the beginning of the classes. Okay, should be quite easy for you. And under the effect of individualism as one of the elements, I talked about utilitarian ethics. I gave a very brief definition. I mean, literally like a 5-word definition. Know what that is. Okay. You should also know what the 2 aspects of sanctification were. One, as a hint, is separation. In the liturgy, when we glorify God and we sanctify man, I said that it lines up with 2 great commandments. They were listed in our PowerPoint or whatever slides I was using from the scripture of Matthew. Make sure you know what those are. I also said that under pluralism, there are things that get equated with acceptance. In other words, the modern world says that by doing these things, we also accept what the person is saying or doing. So just look under the modern element of pluralism, and you should see that under the effects. And also, to glorify God and to offer Him, well, let's put it this way. When we say we glorify God, let's just say that we offer Him glory and praise. Okay? Make sure you know that. Now, there was 1 or 2 of the goals in liturgy that has a very relational aspect to it. Make sure you know which one that is. Make sure that you can identify the effect of bureaucracy. We started out this course by talking about, aha, I've got it. What was the word that Archimedes screamed when he discovered something? Also know what is a goal, one of the goals of liturgy. Well, you should know them both, but be able to recognize one if you see it. And this element believes its importance is to accumulate as many facts as possible. So which element of the modern culture says it's important for us to accumulate as much data and facts as possible? This we spoke about very generally. We're saying this is the water that we swim in. And by that I meant it's the filter by which we see everything in the past and our present culture. And we all possess one of these. Make sure that in a matching situation you can identify that. This particular element of modern culture, not always, again, I shouldn't say that, but it tends to help us see all the rituals as primitive. And by help, I mean that's really not help, but that's usually what a contributing factor to that. And finally, know the definition of liturgy. It's a very short definition, not the etymology, know the definition. Okay? That's all you need to know. I just ran through the quiz for you. I do have different versions of the quiz, so you need to know that. Every year, throughout the entire year, I have students that do very well if they would have taken the other version of the quiz, but they do very poorly on the one that they had in front of them because they did a better job of memorizing what their friends told them than they did studying this review. So God bless you. Any questions, get a hold of me, let's say before 8, 9 o'clock on Tuesday evening. The quiz is Wednesday. All right, God bless, guys.